Nick Smith Jr., I'll let you go here. Someone we've not really touched on in too much detail. I think the last time we did our touch-all prospects, our kind of 9 and 45 or whatever it was, 9 and 60, he wasn't in the rotation at all. But we've been able to see a good bit of Nick Smith Jr. here due to injuries. What have you made so far of his minutes?
So to me, I'm obviously overall encouraged just because the context with which he is getting these minutes is not the best for a developmental player. Like I said this last year, I'm not a fan of the Houston Rockets style of rebuilding or tanking where you just feed minutes to like a lineup full of young players. It doesn't necessarily result in the most fruitful style or successful style of basketball, which is what we've seen a lot of the times with the Hornets this year. But Nick Smith has definitely shown some very positive things. I think most of all to me, and granted, this is on somewhat low volume, but he's shooting 51% from three this year. Like he has taken 49 of them in 18 games, 227 minutes. This is, not a huge sample size, not great volume, but he's shooting enough to where you can believe that, maybe this 51% extrapolated over a much larger sample size. And when he's a little older and more experienced, maybe he's like a 38 to 40% shooter. And a lot of these are like pretty difficult shots. Like he hit one, I think it was against Denver, where he was like, he came off a handoff and was like drifting into the left corner, was like extremely off balance, but set his feet like just enough and rose up on balance and got it off, and it went straight down. Like that is a very difficult shot to make, especially for a guy that's like not really regarded as a 3-point shooter. Like that's impressive to be able to kind of do that stuff just on a whim in the NBA. He's not necessarily somebody that gets a ton of stuff ran for him or has like the highest usage rate in the world, although he does actually get a pretty good share of like ball handler reps when he's in there. He's obviously not like somebody that starts or even plays all that much. When he does get minutes, I think he tops out around like 22 or 24 is probably the most he's played in a game. But so far, like as he's gotten more playing time gradually throughout the year, which sure he's earned it partially, a lot of it is because of injury, he's continued to prove to Steve Clifford, to the Hornets front office, that there are a lot of things to buy into with his skill set. He has great touch. He's a really good ball handler. And most of all, he has shown a ton of effort on defense, and that shooting is really coming around so far. Like that, I think it's overall you can be encouraged by him, but as a rookie will do, he'll pull out every 2 or 3 games and just have a pretty rough performance in terms of turnovers or on-ball defense, or just start missing some shots. But overall, very encouraging signs from Nick Smith to me. What about you, James?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you're the last pick basically in the first round and you're able to show anything is a good start. So look, the shooting is very real. Okay, he's not a 51% shooter, but you can tell because like the gradient of difficulty on some of these looks is high. These are not just I'm catching the ball and I'm shooting wide open. Like some of these are off the dribbles, when people going under in screens, they're coming off curls. Like you say, that one step back to his left. I mean, that was an extremely hard difficult. There's not many guys in this roster who'd even attempt that shot. And his shot making is super impressive. I agree with you on the touch. He's shown it on the floater as well. I don't think he's a good ball handler yet. And he probably won't ever be, if I'm being honest. Like, I think he'll be fine-ish. I will say, as impressive as the tough shot making is, and I don't want to be negative, but he does really struggle to generate easy shots for himself or others. Like, everything he takes has to be difficult because he doesn't have great burst. He's always it's always a step back kind of with him because that's and like if you're good enough to do that all the time, like actually that's okay, but it does mean that the level of shooting that you have to have is of an extremely high level, because if you're not putting on any rim pressure and you're not really creating that much for others, then you need to be a lights out shooter. Now, if he keeps shooting it like he is, that isn't a problem, but those things will come down to earth at some point. But I still think he needs to find a way to get easy shots to get to the rim. I think he has what is it? His 5 rim attempts on the season. His foul rate is non-existent. I think it's like 0.1% free throws per game. He's actually done a good job not turning the ball over as much as he did in Summer League. He's not been given like the ball as much he was in Greensboro or in Summer League. So he's been able to play more as a wing than a lead guard, which he was doing in those development settings, which I still think is good for him because if he can give you on-ball reps, that just adds another tool to his arsenal. But I mean, Steve Clifford even said in a pregame the other day that he's a wing. Like, we don't even view him as a guard. He's a wing. And that's just because of how he works at the minute. Like, he is an off-ball shooting guard, and that's great. But he has to find more things to add to his skill set, and that will come. Like, for him to show this level of shooting at this stage in his rookie season, that's enough to go, there's something here. But we have to create the complete picture of a player for him to be an every night rotation player. When that shooting regresses, if you go 0 for 5, how else is Nick Smith Jr. impacting the game? At the minute, probably not. Okay, maybe hustle play here and there, but that's what he needs to work on, while also trying to keep up the shooting level. But I'd say he's someone I get excited when he comes to the game. I think fans do too. They like seeing him. It feels like every shot he takes is going to go in. And even though he takes these hard shots, I don't feel like they're bad shots, because a lot of the time he kind of will take those shots when he feels the team needs it, when the ball isn't moving, when the second unit is struggling. He doesn't like wave people off and take them. He just kind of like seems to sense the moment at the right times, which is quite a mature thing to say.
Yeah, he's very good at deferring at the right times. He doesn't chuck up shots. You would not complain about his shot selection really at all so far, I don't think. He just tends to miss or have tough shots, and like you said, because he can't necessarily create the space or absorb contact in a way that allows him to have easier looks, which to me, like, him getting stronger is going to be imperative, because that will solve a lot of the things that you just talked about, like the rim pressure and the ability to actually get to the rim and make plays for others. If he can't do that with his ball handling, which I think I'm probably a little bit higher on than you are by the sound of it, but even if that doesn't come around and he just remains like a decent ball handler for his position, if he's strong enough to like move defenders off of their spot on his way into the paint, he's going to create space for himself. He's going to force
strong enough.
Yeah,
he does not have a strong build.
He is like not at all right now. Oh, yeah. Yes. And that is a huge thing as to why he does only get those like off balance shots or extremely contested looks in the paint, is because he's not moving anybody. In fact, most of the time, he is the one that gets moved around when in taking any sort of contact on the way to the rim. But if he could either become like a very good ball handler and expand even further on his court vision, which seems pretty decent so far. He makes a lot of pretty good like kick out passes and swing passes and stuff like that. But he's got to do that or become a lot stronger so he can move guys around a little bit and create space for himself. Because like you said, the tough shots, they don't look bad like to the eye, or they don't come like out of the flow of the offense, but they're just tough shots. Like, you're not going to shoot an extremely high percentage on them forever. Like in college, he did take a pretty decent amount of off the dribble jumpers, shot 36.4% of them on them. In the NBA right now, he is 7 for 14 on pull-up threes. Like, the 50% shooting on catch and shoot and pull-ups is not sustainable. It's probably going to fall a little bit closer to his college numbers. And in college, he struggled to, create rim pressure, make plays for teammates, affect the game when he wasn't making shots. So these are the same things that he struggles with now. So yeah. I think that's a positive sign, at least, that he's struggling with similar things. So you know what you need to target and work on going forward. But definitely a couple of things that have stood out so far. Yeah. But I am still encouraged. It's a positive sign to get anything like this from the 27th pick, like you said.
It's hard not to find his style of game exciting, right? But equally, I just think we should safeguard against it. In the disappointment that this Hornet season has been, it's easy to latch onto anything positive and like overinflate it. And I just want people to understand that this isn't just we need to play Nick Smith Jr. 25 minutes per night and he's like, there are still a lot of things that he needs to add to his toolbox, and that he is a little bit one-dimensional right now. So there is definitely stuff that Nick needs to continue to build on. But it's been an encouraging start.